So recently I made a video about 100 different tips and tricks to improve your Minecraft house. In the thumbnail, I used a house that didn't really look that good, so I wanted to see if I can make it look better. So, in today's video, that's what we're gonna do. When you're thinking of planning a house, there's two things you need to figure out first. 1. What is the shape? This is pretty self-explanatory. What's the general shape of the house? This house was a square, and I knew I wanted to change that, so I added some extensions that I didn't really like, so I got rid of them. And number 2 is, what block palette do you want? What is your base block, and what are good complementary colors? Spruce is my main base, so being the creature of habit I am, I chose spruce. When you're building with spruce, I found having dark oak as a trim makes it look more complete. I added another box in front of the original build, which I knew this was going to be a good place for an entrance. I started adding a dark oak roof on the front of the box, knowing that this was going to be the smaller part. When you're making a roof, try to make it out of different blocks. Doing this will make it look more interesting. I extended the original house by a couple blocks in one direction because this will allow me to add more details later down the line. At first, I thought I could keep the walls the same color, but I felt like it was too much spruce, so I decided to play around with different wood types to see what looked the best. It's okay to make mistakes. See, I've made plenty in this build, but it just takes a little perseverance and some patience to make it look how you want it. Here's a tip. When you're transitioning to another color on a wall, the best way to do it is to cover up the transition line with a trim. For me, I've been using dark oak because it looks the best. For some reason, I wanted to create an extension in the back for the build. I don't really know what this was for. Then I started placing jungle planks, so the build won't be just one color. My goal was to create a gradient from dark to light. Doing this will 1. Be more pleasing for the eye, and 2. Will help draw the eye naturally upwards. I wanted to make the transition between spruce and jungle more smooth, so I decided to add stripped spruce logs, but then I realized that it looked awful. So I decided to change that with stripped jungle logs, and I think it made it look 10 times better. Always, I mean always, take a step back. This can help you change a lot of mistakes early on, so please take a step back. I've decided to use a dark oak trim for the roof because I've been using it for the entire build so far, so I thought it would just fit in really well. I wanted to gradually make the roof steeper because I feel like it makes it look more unique. Bet you forgot about the other box at the back. Anyways, I started building up with deep slate, but I realized I might have made a mistake. See, I figured out that this was a 2-block center, and that is no good. It makes everything much harder. Luckily, I wasn't too far into it, so I was able to fix it quite easily by adding 1 block to one of the sides of the house. After I fixed that, I started connecting the roof up, and I made a very cool looking top in my opinion. When I was connecting the roof, I made a decision. I felt like it would be too complicated to keep the back, so I decided to get rid of it. Then I made my roof into an A. I don't know. Cool details, that's all. But I felt like it was time to start filling in the roof a little bit. Remember when I said to make your roof out of different blocks? This is what I mean. I filled my roof in with some deep slate bricks, and it makes everything look nicer and more together. Another good tip is to create add-ons to your roof. It gives you that extra sense of detail, which can really make a good build into a great build. I made the deep slate go onto the roof, so the add-on looks more connected to the overall build, so it doesn't look like it's just gonna be plopped on or fall off. Time for the fun stuff, adding some details. I've been obsessed with adding the lightning rod support beams. I saw Smallish Beans do it, and I just loved it ever since. However, I didn't like the entrance, so I changed it into the trapdoor entrance, so it adds that extra bit of depth, because depth is important like I've said before. I added some windows with hinges. I did the whole one open, one close thing, but I tried to do something different with the middle of it. I tried using, some random blocks, but I opted against it because none of it really worked. Another cool trick is adding a campfire on top of a gate. It makes it feel more rustic, and it's a good overhang for a window. I think it's about time we give this house some life. I feel like adding a bigger window here would really go well with this build. I think this makes it look a lot more grand and really cool. On the other side, I decided to add a balcony. I was using some lecterns and trapdoors, which this has been a very used technique, but I still love it and it works really well. In the back of the build, I decided to use some barrels because it added a little bit of texture. Adding some strip spruce gives it what I call fake depth, which is just texturing but it looks like it's has more depth to it. Adding a story to a build can make the build more intriguing. I made my roof look like it's falling apart a little bit by adding a few extra slabs here and there to make it look like chunks are removed from it. I added some dark oak logs to the trim of the roof to add, well, more texture. I did the same thing with adding more barrels. I honestly think barrels are one of the most underrated blocks in the game. Adding trapdoors to a roof can really make the roof seem like it has a different curve than you typically would get when it comes to like slabs, stairs, and all that type of stuff. So I recommend using trapdoors on roofs. Another thing I picked up from Smallish Beans, having 2 levers and a lightning rod connected to it. I started adding some more details on the back when it comes to adding some windows and hinges and all that fun stuff. I swear, I can stop anytime. I swear. After all the work I did on the roof, I still felt like I was missing something, so I added some hanging lanterns to it. And I feel like that really brought everything together. You know what I always say, it's not a house without a chimney. I don't think I've ever said that before. Let's take a closer look at what actually is here. As you guys can tell, we are using a gradient slash texturing. It goes from dark to light, and then we also have a dash of brown, like a dark brown, so it splits up the build a little bit, so it makes it look more pleasing to the eyes. And then we have a deep slate roof, which makes it look more medieval and it fits the vibe of the house, plus the hanging lamps as well add to the house. So let's actually look at the smaller details. Like this, adding some dark oak log with the planks can make the texturing look really cool. Like it's hard, you don't really notice it, but like it's just subtle enough that it doesn't distract. And then there's a chimney with the smoke, which is cool. Under these barrels, I added stripped logs, so it adds more fake depth, I would say. It makes it look like it pops out a little bit more, which is cool. I like it. I added these to cover up the wall where it looked a little bit too blank. Like over here, that's pretty much all the small details. Other like those like trapdoors everywhere, just to add more, you know, curve. Then there's also the balcony, which there's a balcony, which is cool. It looks good. I like it. It doesn't like pop out too much, which is what I was kind of scared of when making it. So the next step is we're gonna actually add this to another world. So I can show you guys how to actually terrain a little bit, so your build doesn't look like it's just placed like this. See, the build looks good here, but it doesn't have any life. So we're gonna give it life. The first thing I did was I found a biome that the house would fit in well with. Then I used my very limited knowledge of world edit and I got rid of all the boulders. Then I covered up all the ugly holes that were in the area because, well, they're ugly and we don't need them. I had to make a cliff to please a particular someone, and I won't say who. I thought it would be a good time to put in my house so I can do some terrain around. Of course, I was using light matica for this one. The reason why I was floating is because I wanted to make a little mound on it, so it would be elevated a little bit. It's always good to put some custom trees around the house because it gives the house more life and character. Also, the same thing with bushes. Bushes do the same thing with trees, makes the surrounding area look like it's alive. Of course, we need a path because I will get lost. Duh. Oh my god, I had such a long day today. It's been so busy. But, you know, I made it back home in peace, and yeah. It's gorgeous. To be honest, I actually don't know what that was. The whole long day thing, it really hasn't been. That was a little, I don't know. But this is the house we made. I already went through the house itself. I still love it. It's great. But let's now go over the terraform. As I mentioned already, I kind of like filled in some holes. I clearly forgot or just did not see any of this. So you walk down. You see a lot of bushes because it's kind of overgrown. That's why there's a pathway. There's some logs down here. I wanted to add like light bushes in the front and then dark bushes in the back, so it looks a little bit further away. I don't know if that works at all, but I did it anyways. Of course, I made the little mound. I didn't really show the back of it very well, but this is the back. I'm not like a certain YouTuber who doesn't finish backs of builds. I don't have any right to make fun of him. I don't do interiors, so I think the build turned out really well. It just looks good at all angles, which is really cool. I think it turned out well. I think it also goes really well with the surrounding area. I would have totally put trees in the back, but laziness got the best of me. I hope you guys enjoy this video. I know it's very different than a lot of other videos I make. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making it, even though I don't like writing scripts that much, I've learned. I hope you guys enjoyed and also learned something in this video. So if you did, make sure to leave a like, because liking helps my ego grow, and I need my ego to be higher because I do, okay? You don't know me. If you did learn something or you enjoy the build, comment, please. I love talking to you guys. I love reading all the comments because I get like 5 comments. So yeah, I enjoy talking to you guys, so please comment if you liked it. I am so close to 500. Like, it's actually kind of surreal. So please, from me, consider subscribing if you liked it. Who knows, you might be the one to get me to 500. Make sure to follow my Twitter because I message a lot on that, and you can see what I'm up to and what manga or anime I'm obsessed with at the moment. Also, join my Discord. I'm trying to build a nice, lovely community. It's working. Everyone in my Discord is really nice, and that's kind of what I want. And always remember to sleep with your pillow. Goodbye.